All right, guys, what's going on? So we're going to talk about another cool trade that I made. This one was $50 into 500, and right now I actually am still sitting on some of it, so I haven't fully realized it, so I can't show you just yet. And there's two parts of the trade. I kind of bounce back and forth between the weekly and the monthly. And sorry if the audio on this sounds a little weird. I don't have my other mic set up, but before I get into that, make sure you guys subscribe, like, and drop a comment. You know I like those questions. I think you guys have been giving me a lot lately, so I want to keep pushing these out for you. Give me stuff to talk about. Now, this trade was a very, very cool trade. In my opinion, it was a cool opportunity. I even did this on YouTube Live. If you guys go see, I did it, I think about 2 or 3 days ago. And this was right when Bitcoin had that first pop. I streamed the Bitcoin stuff aftermarket. I streamed this one, and I even got distracted. So I got filled awfully by the chat by the market makers, because the chat was actually distracting me, saying my audio wasn't good. So I didn't get it, but I want to show you the trade and understand the logic behind this. There's a few things you could take from this. One, the type of trade and how you could use outside news and outside movements of different assets and find stocks to play through the market that aren't, that's the beauty of it. That's why, like, I use Forex to look at foreign exchange. I don't trade it. It's too risky. It's dumb. It's foolish. It's a trap. I could go on for days why you shouldn't trade Forex, but I look at it, gather the data, and find actionable plays that could be reflected through the stock market and options. So think about that, and that's what happened here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a big move, and I was able to find two different assets to play Bitcoin with on the stock market that had the same leverage of option, the same, safety, but also risk. Don't get that twisted. And that was really cool. So that's one thing. The next thing I want to discuss that we'll get to is also the difference between weeklies and monthlies. So if you saw my last play, the 20 bucks and 100, that was a great example. I kind of compared it, but we could even go compare it more in depth here. And it's going to even bring up the next thing, is also in the money versus out of the money, and how that's going to affect the value of your contract. So first things first, we'll talk about what happened. How did I find this play? And, I'll even show it to you here. The one that went 1,000%, there was two plays. One went 1,000%, and the other one that I'm still holding, which didn't go 1,000%, but still had a nice, almost relative gain. But you could take a look here. It's the $6 calls on Riot. You see the 3-day, it went from literally, it was below 5 cents, but then it went to 5 cents all the way up to 66. The top ticked at like 69, and now it's still leveled at 24. So you bought that for 5 cents. It's, 5 times higher, still settling at 500, which is pretty crazy for a weekly to do that, especially one that expires tomorrow. Today. Sorry, I'm posting this today. I forgot. It's already Friday. But the thing to look at with this play that's very interesting, and that you could even see through here, is like, a lot of times you'll see these option plays in these charts, and you may see, oh, it went from 5 cents to this. It didn't really do that because chances are there wasn't volume there. But here you see volume above 5 cents, and by the size of this candle and the duration it lasted, it was sitting at 5 cents. And that's why it was a play and opportunity, because Bitcoin already moved. And that's why, going back to, or jumping to why I played this, Bitcoin was already up $400, and it was a huge move on Bitcoin, and none of this Bitcoin stocks, even GBTC, that wasn't moving at all. And it was crazy because there was a huge delay, and that was the real opportunity in spotting that. Then Bitcoin shot up another $200, $300, I think, and then it started to move at the last leg of Bitcoin going up. Then the market started to pick it up, and people started going crazy. So that was the opportunity, and that's when you saw it go and shoot. And I have that on the live stream. You could watch it happen live if you guys go back. I was trading live, everything, and that was interesting. So now I picked up some of those. I flipped, but I didn't get them at 5 cents. I had to get them a little higher, and then, it was just too risky for me, and I didn't like it, and I sold out. What I played was the August 17th. I went for the monthly again, and this goes back, if you've been seeing some of the plays I made even yesterday, it's not about, don't think weeklies are always the best and going to be the cheapest. You have to understand risk reward. It's what you're getting dollar for dollar and understanding what the contract represents. And we'll dive deeper on that in another video, because that's how I spot these plays and saying, hey, that's a good deal, because the best plays I ever pick are the long-term options that are just cheap, and it's again, there's always going to be some sort of delay, or the pricing isn't going to necessarily match up per se. So what I played was the $8 ones. I was going to get the $6 ones, which again, they went from about they were chilling here for a big amount of time, from 10 cents to 80. So you still would have made 800%. Every $100 turned into $800. So, but you could, by the time I saw it, they were at 25, and I didn't want them at 25. I thought that was getting a little too pricey, even though they still, went up triple. But what I did go for, that I'm holding, and I'll tell you guys the strategy. I went for the $8 ones. And why? Because I got them around 15 cents a pop, or I think 13 or 15 cents each. They went all the way up to like 35, so they only doubled, and I got those. But now, that was only 100%. I did put a larger amount in, about $200 in that, so 200 turned into like six something. But what I did was, the minute I sold out, I actually sold around 35 cents, and what I did with that was I sold out $200 worth. So I put $200 worth. It went up to $600. And then what I did, because I knew I had time, I also understood the underlying asset, what was going on with Bitcoin. I went and I sold off my initial investment. Therefore, now I'm sitting on these August, I have a month now to play Bitcoin through the stock market with, a very volatile stock. It's a low float. Riot only has 15 or 13 million shares. So the price is going to be very volatile. And if you even look at the Riot chart, on the 100-day, again, this is the move we caught. I got it when it was at like just 530. Then it hit six. Like that's why I got the $6 in the monies, which were great on the weekly. And that's why they're holding their value. They're in the money. If anything about after the six, if you didn't hit it right on the money, you would have lost your money. And that's why I did, understanding the volatility. That's why I shot for the August, because I knew I'm not trying to play, prophecy over here and try to pick the exact price. I wanted to put the odds in my favor, and that's why I went for the longer time frame, slightly higher out of the money. But for it to go back to $8, it's slightly higher than the equilibrium price. You could see it's kind of in the middle. You cut this chart in half, you're going to get to like 760-ish, right? So it's a little higher. But again, if Bitcoin starts trading back to these, May, June, July levels, or May, June levels, it's going to hold around there. And with the time premium, with a pretty much a month of time, it's a cheap stock. Volatility, even the volume on this is crazier than it's ever been. Same thing with Bitcoin. It's the largest amount of volume that went into the actual asset in a while. It was a good play, and that's why I bought it. I'm still able to hold it, and we're still going to see what happens. But understand how the two things you could take away from that: aiming for the long term, that's not long term at all. Don't get that twisted. Sorry. Aiming for just more time, playing as some of the time premium while still shooting for the intrinsic value, trying to get in the money. And now at the same time, you see it's also going to, it's just going to be safer and putting the odds in my favor of, hey, that's more likely going to protect my money. And then next, I took my initial investment after, I made that as a day trade. I had a moment, it shot up real quick. I was right on my move. A majority of the gain is always going to happen in that first move. That's why I always say, just take your money. And then now you see, I still wanted to play it. I wanted to gamble a little bit. I got all my money back. So at the end of this day, I'm going to walk home, close this trade. There's zero chance of me losing any money I didn't start with. My account will at least go back to what I started with. It goes down to zero, expires worthless. I didn't lose anything. I may have lost 10 bucks, 15 bucks commission, because I did get my $200 back almost on the dot. So the point of that now is I'm playing with the house's money. I'm playing now 400 bucks of this option, which is a huge, and this is how I go from small position to scaling to these big 10, 20, 30, $40,000 gains by holding the house's money. But then at one point, you will see, as that gain of the house's money gets bigger, you're going to have to play the game of, okay, yeah, even though it's the house's money, it's still your money and you're entitled to it. You don't want to be risky, again, financial management. So that's the one thing that I want to discuss. Now, understanding the underlying asset itself, there is something I want to point out. There's Riot to play Bitcoin, and then GBTC. And this is the Bitcoin, it's like an inverse trust type thing, or, I don't know how to describe it for you, quickly, but essentially it's representing, it's kind of more linked to the price of Bitcoin. And as you see, it looks a little different than Riot. You could say they're kind of the same, but you see there's more fluctuations. Riot kind of holds itself. Riot even falls harder and runs up faster. And GB, they operate really differently, even though they're under, pretty much tracking it. But if you wanted to track the price of Bitcoin to the dot, I would play GBTC. It is more related. It's literally the assets. It's a fund holding Bitcoin. That's what it's related to. Now, Riot is a company. It is just a random scam company. Don't think, and again, you guys know how I feel about penny stocks. I don't like shit. I'm just no understanding, again, I'm getting in, getting out. I know the fact that the water is shaky. I'm being ultra cautious, but Riot had the opportunity with the option chain. GBTC doesn't play options, so you'd have to buy the shares. But even then, the shares might be a better case. If you wanted to put 500, 1,000 in the Riot, you might be better off buying 50 or 100 shares. Again, you won't make as much money, but still safer and get you more upside. And you could still double your money if it does get back to those levels. But even then, Riot, and that's what you guys got to understand. Sometimes you could play these events, play Bitcoin running up, but the thing that I'm really playing at the end of the day is, it's the move. And what I'm trying to say is, don't let, you could find, it's like Ebola. When Ebola happened, some stocks dealt with Ebola, some just ran up just by being associated. Riot was more associated with Bitcoin. It had nothing to do with the performance of the company, what they're going to do, anything like that. But it just, being privy to that knowledge and being aware, so I'm able to set my plan, not to make a short-term play turn into a long-term, control my gains, take my profits quickly. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Hopefully this gives you some insight to that. It was a cool play, and as you guys see, I'm showing you guys some plays. I'm all over the board. You see, this is where I'm scanning for my news. I'm getting my information. I'm looking everywhere from railroads to S&P to pharmaceuticals to your big technology stocks, and you guys are going to see that's what it's about, being dynamic. Don't limit, I know some people say, I'm just going to trade Amazon, Facebook. Nah, don't limit yourself to that. Only unskilled traders would do that. And people who are, they don't want to think. If you could think, I love getting rewarded for the knowledge I have. I love, and this is why I say, if you're into stocks like that, that's what you should be into, not just sitting at home making money sitting down. The real key is being able to interpret information, be aware of the world around you. If you just want money and easy money, just get into real estate. That's what I tell people. And, that you make sure you guys are in it for the right reason. And why I say that is you're going to trade better. You're going to make a lot more money and have a lot more opportunities than a lot of people out there. So I'll leave you guys with that. Make sure you subscribe, drop a comment, keep motivating these videos. Give me a stock to analyze. Give me some potential plays you got, even for earnings coming up. And I would love to go over with them with you guys. All right. Love y'all. Stay to school.